What's up, everybody? Ryan here. Got a service call, kind of a weird one. Apparently another company was out here 2 days ago, or late last week, repaired these two carriers. The guy said that they had parts. They put them on and now it won't get below 67 in the store. Felt a little warm in there, but ooh, see, looks like oil on that condenser. They both appear to be running, but I'm gonna give them both a look and see what's going on. They're both making condensation. I hear blower. I hear a blower, possibly. So let's take a quick peek and see what parts had been replaced, what the state of these units are, and we'll go from there. I want to see if maybe the blower motor got replaced. And it's running backwards. See that? Rotation is this way. That blower motor's running backwards. Rotation that way. This is running that way. So I bet you he probably put a contactor in and didn't have it phased properly. It appears the low pressure switches are working. 7/11/24. It's exactly what happened. The evaporator coil is not all frozen, so appears the low pressure switches were working. That's good. Yeah, and I love it. I love when I see thermostat wire run up right through the economizer, but I'm not going to deal with that right now. I will write up to have it rerouted. But if you're going to replace a contactor or a blower motor, it's 3-phase, you have to check phasing on it. It will run backwards. Unless this is just bad, but I doubt it. Seemed like once the repair had been made. Look at that. One screw holding that in. Anyway, let me determine which contactor we've got here. I believe it's this guy. We got here blue, black, and yellow. Black, blue, yellow, right here, the bottom of that one. So I'm just gonna do a flip, and that should allow our blower motor to rotate properly. Look at this. Oh my God, that wasn't even tight. Not tight. Oh God. Loose wiring connections create heat. You see that? I don't know who they had out here. I can assure you though it wasn't us, because I looked it up on the ride out. So I have to gather all the info on the units, filter sizes, belt sizes, but I'm gonna put the camera down right now. I'm gonna double check all of that electrical. This one I'm gonna investigate why there's oil all over the condensing unit. Let's see if a bunch of contactors were replaced here as well. Yep, 3 contactors here. Might as well check. I believe this one's running the right direction. You can tell. Yeah. All right, that one's running right, but I'm gonna look over the electrical on this too, make sure all these connections are tight. When you have a loose connection, it creates heat. When you create heat, it's gonna burn up that wire and you're gonna be out. So I'm gonna look over, tighten all this electrical, get that blower running. Well, let me kick it on real quick for you just to, oh, none of this was latched shut either. Looks like a new compressor. Looks like a new compressor put in right there. I can't even push the contactor in. We'll jump it. But I am gonna look over all that electrical and tighten up all these connections. If he put a new compressor in and the blower was running backwards, there it is. Now it's going the right direction. How in the hell did he charge it? How could he have charged it? Oh God, let me look in this unit, I'll be back. All right, I tightened up all the wires. Blower's now running the right direction. I've got 200 pounds of standing pressure on stage 1, where it looks like the compressor was replaced. I'm gonna kick it on. I've got it jumped out. He has Y1 and Y2 jumped out, which is a little suspicious considering it's wired independently, Y1 and Y2. So kick it on here. Nothing on first stage. I'm wondering if I gotta pull the covers off of these contactors. Let's see what's going on. I can't tell if they're pulled in or not. I'll be back. I'm gonna remove these just so I can see what's going on. All right, so I've got Y1, Y2 jumped out. Yeah, only stage 2 is running. I'm gonna push the contactor in here real quick just to see what it does. It does come on. I'm up to 355 pounds of pressure right off the rip, 169 pounds of suction pressure. I'm wondering if this guy overcharged the shit out of it because the blower was running backwards. I'm assuming it's 410. If I can find it here. There we go, 410A, 10.3 pounds, first stage. 10.2 for second stage. So let me get a meter out. Gonna see what we got. Maybe we got a high pressure switch tripped. I will test it here. It looks like he has them all hooked to the board, so I'm gonna put the camera down, do a little investigating, and I'll bring you back. All right guys, both the low and high pressure switch are closed. I've got 24 volts through them, and it appears that both of these contactors are 24 volt coils. Let's see if I can get on this. See if we've got 24 volts at our, we don't. So we don't have 24 volts at the contactor coil. So where are we losing our 24? I'm sure I've got 24 volts here at the board, and I do. I've got 24 volts at Y1. I'm gonna shut the power off, take a look at everything, and pull these off the board and test them. We might have a bad board not sending power to our contactor. Do a little tracing, I think. Oh, what is that? That's for the transformer, orange. I'm gonna have to see if I can follow that up, back, down, and I believe it's right here. I will be back. All right guys, so I grabbed a bypass plug thinking we weren't getting 24 volts back to bring on both stages of cooling. I can look down through here where I can see the board where the diagnostic lights should be. I had no diagnostic lights on this. I had 24 volts present, so I went ahead, put the bypass plug on it temporarily to see if that would allow 24 volts to both compressors, and voila, we now have 24 volts to both compressors. So I'm gonna shut this off momentarily until I button everything back up and I can test the refrigerant on that one. But it's always good to keep a bypass plug on you because I couldn't find one here in the unit. And what I'm gonna do is trace the wires. I'm gonna cut them back and I'm gonna bug them together, and they can be rewired with butt connectors when we come back to get a new economizer control. I'm gonna go ahead and snap pictures of this. We're just gonna replace this, and I'm gonna get it wired up, get all the covers back in place, and then we can see, is the compressor overcharged? I'm assuming it may be. If it seems to me like dude couldn't get it to even run, and that's probably why he jumped out Y1 and Y2 before he left. But with the blower running backwards it was never going to work properly. Good thing this thing had low pressure switches in it, or it would have been a complete block of ice by the time I got here. All right guys, so I just cut them back and wire nutted the corresponding wires together. That way I can keep my bypass plug with me and I don't lose it. I got a couple, one's in the van and one's in my bag. I'm gonna write up the new economizer control. I'm also gonna wire up, I'm also gonna write up to reroute this thermostat wire so it's not running right down through the economizer dampers, potentially pinching, you know, that wire when it closes. 4 20 by 25 by 2s. I'll go ahead and write that here. 20 by 20 by 2s, 1 belt size. Let's see what it's got before I kick power back on and test this thing. And we'll give the blower a quick bearing check while we're at it. 71124. It's got an A49. Doesn't sound too bad. Freaking pulley is wound all the way in. We'll check the amp draw on that. If I can see what the hell it is, I'll confirm that before I button it up. A49. Go ahead and write that on my data plate. That way we know. 9, unit number 1. Boom, I'll get a picture of that. That way it can be entered into our system. And I'll do the same for unit 2. All right, I got it all buttoned up. 10.3 pounds. I don't know. Seems like the dude had some issues with the blower running backwards, compressor 1 not coming on, economizer control not doing it, loose wiring connections, big no-no. Got that all taken care of, the bypass of the economizer. I'm hoping, being that it's 410A, he just weighed it in and got all 10 pounds in it. If he wasn't able to get first stage running, maybe he didn't overcharge it, but I'm gonna keep my fingers crossed. I got 230 pounds of standing pressure, got it jumped out. Let's go ahead and kick it on. I just have my probes on. I don't have my temperature clamps on at all. I want to kind of just see what my pressures are right off the rip. Let's select our 410A. All right, so 473, 481, 489, 492 on our head pressure. 500 pounds of head pressure, 111 pounds of suction, not horrible. 501, 500, let's see if that starts coming down. 36.6, 37 degree vapor saturation. I'm gonna let this thing run for a bit while I clear the drain trap. I can see that there's some crap in it. Yep. I don't want a leaking air conditioner right after I came, so we're good there. We'll let that run. I'll make sure that gets primed. I don't see any area. Oh no, there's a hole there. Doesn't appear that, yeah, possibly somebody's been testing supply air temperature here. I'm gonna see if I can get my probe in there. I'm gonna let this thing run. Wow. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. I like that. Get a supply air temp. 516 pounds of head pressure. Coil is hot. It needs cleaned. I can tell it's a split coil. We are gonna rate up to clean this and reevaluate our, yeah, look, I can see right here, it's packed. I guarantee you if I split this coil, it's gonna be just a layer, just a mat inside. It's probably never been split and cleaned. Other than the high head pressure, it's looking okay. This is Sunday. It's Sunday. I'm not splitting and cleaning anything. It's gonna get quoted. This one's not hot at all. But I'm assuming it's a dirty coil only because it's split first stage and second stage, and they're both hot. You know what I'm saying? If it was another issue, fans are running the proper direction. But yeah, we're gonna rate the split and clean both units. 62 degree supply temp, I'll get a return air temp here after I max down on that. 547 pounds of head pressure. Sure, this isn't going to help opening up the... Oh, I got a nice cold suction line now. Shut that before we trip a high pressure switch. Yeah, this coil needs cleaned. I'm gonna start looking at that unit over there, and like I said, there's a do not exceed on this. I'm not pulling hose. I would have to find water, but it definitely needs cleaned. Oh, I wanted to check amp draw on that blower motor. Considering it's wound all the way in with the pulley and it's been running backwards. We're rated for 10 amps. We're at 9.45. On one leg, 9.4. Yeah, get off. Come on, get on there. 10.73. 10.93. We're a whole amp over. I bet you any money. I mean, I know that pulley is wound in too tight. Maybe I'll take care of that while I'm here. Do I have a... look at that. So we were at 63, I believe. And we'll get the return air temp here first. Let me start digging into that one while I let this run, but it's hot in there. I know this thing needs cleaned, so I'm gonna write it up to get it cleaned, economizer control, new pulley. All right, I'm now on unit number 2. I see second stage compressor has a suction line liquid or suction line filter dryer in it. It's got no cap. Let me grab my meter and see, are we calling for both stages of cooling here? I see, oh, it's jumped out too. Okay, so is it another economizer problem? Is there any refrigerant in it? I'm gonna have to go grab a set of gauges. So I've got my probes tied up here. So I'm gonna go grab a set of gauges and we'll see. That leak or that oil appears that it would be on first stage. So I'm gonna set the camera down. I'm gonna grab a set of gauges. I'm gonna look around with my meter and I'll be back. All right, so I've got no voltage present at my high or low pressure switches. Between one side of the pressure switch to common. So I'm gonna set my gauges on here. Maybe this thing's out of refrigerant. We'll find out. Yeah, this is upper half of the coil, so let me throw my gauges on, see what if we have anything in this thing. All right, well, we have 225 pounds of pressure on second compressor. First stage compressor's running, no cap on that one either. Yeah, I gotta go get caps now. Oh wait, there are caps. So suction line is sweating and nice and cold on first stage. Here's another cap, so we'll get those put back on. So where am I losing? Is it the economizer again? So we're gonna grab the bypass plug and go ahead and bypass that and see if it'll kick on both stages. This thing should be calling for AC by now, and it is. I had 78 degree return air, 60 degree supply air, so we're at 18 degrees delta T right now. There we go, we're starting to make some water. There it is. Okay, so we'll let this one run with the probes hooked up. We still got 545 pounds of head pressure, but it's hot and that coil's dirty. This is concerning. Definitely some oil there. I'm gonna look right here, but I gotta figure out why second stage won't come on. And looks like a new filter dryer has been installed on that, possibly with that ugly booger right there. So I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I'll get the leak detector out and see if we're picking anything up, but a lot of times they leak right in here. We'll meet that challenge when we get to it. Yeah, definitely compressor's been replaced on first stage, I think. I don't know, it's hard to say. Look at that coupling. This one's definitely been replaced. They don't come standard with couplings, and the suction line filter dryer is an indication that this unit's been worked on before. So let me grab this, and while I'm at it, we'll clean this. Yeah, I got that. Sweating. 90 degrees out today. And we'll check the blower too while we're at it and got the power off. All right. This one doesn't look corroded like the last one, but we'll go ahead and bypass it and see if second stage kicks on. There it is. At least we know the blower's running in the right direction on this one. New belt, tight as fuck. Pulley wound all the way in. Why are the pulleys wound all the way in? We're gonna check amp draw on this one. Just gonna write up new pulleys, I think. I'm not grabbing pipe wrenches and trying to break that free. Yoing. It's like banjo. Anyway, let me get a picture of that tag so I can see what amp draw we're supposed to be pulling on this, and then we'll see if that bypass plug does the trick. All right, 10.6 on the blower motor. Start off with this one. I'm sure it's going to be over amps with that freaking pulley wound all the way in. All right, well, that didn't take care of it, the bypass plug, or did it? Oh yeah, it did. All right, go ahead and shut that. So the economizers, I don't know if they're the enthalpy sensors or the controls, but they're going to just get both. There's no reason why it should be not kicking on. We'll replace the control, the enthalpy sensor on both, and that already filled up. That's good. Looks like we're running 130 pounds of suction pressure. I'm gonna hook up my high side gauge here. We're running 11.6 amps on a motor that's rated for 10.6. So we're a full amp over on that, and it's been running that way for a while. I'm inclined to just write up a new blower motor. I know, adjust the pulley, do all the work. Why? It's been running that way for a while. The pulley didn't slip, somebody set it that way. So it is what it is. It's a 2013 unit. Who knows how long it's been that way. The motor's hot. This is our first time here. Somebody was here, replaced a bunch of contactors, and didn't really look at much else. Belts and contactors. So I'm gonna write up what I feel will get their unit working properly for a good amount of time, and I think a new blower motor will do that. So it is what it is. Let's see here, I can get on there. I'm gonna check amp draw on the other two. 10.5. 9.9. So it's over, it's hot. I'm not grabbing pipe wrenches and trying to break free these blower sheaves. This one just shut off. Let me grab my meter. Probably satisfied the thermostat. 18-degree temperature split on that one. I am gonna check all these wire connections too and make sure they're tight, because they were not tight on this one. And we are not calling for air conditioning anymore. Right there. So this one's satisfied. I've got my list going on this one. Let me go ahead and get my probes off of this, get this one buttoned up. It was cooling. And we will get a temperature split on this guy. I like these. Yoink. Come on, get in there. Get in there. All right, let me get my high side gauge on this one, and we'll go from there. All right, this one's considerably lower on the head pressure, 419 and dropping, but I think that one needs cleaned badly. 75 degrees, 76 on our return. Let's see what it's putting out now with 2 stages calling. 76, we'll come back to that. So I'm gonna formulate my list on unit 2, also get the belt sizes and filter sizes called in to our system, and we'll go from there. Looks like we got 18 degrees on this one, 58 degree supply air, 76 degree return. If my math is correct, that's 18. I am gonna shut this one off and go get my leak detector and just sniff around and see if I'm picking anything up on that. If I am, then we'll add a leak search on stage 1 to it. All right, before I tighten all those electrical connections, which I'm sure are loose, got my LE-Tech IR 200 here. Just gonna sniff around down here, see if I can pick anything up. What am I set on here? High, sensitivity high. Let's go. Oh. Medium, low. Let's go low. I mean, I don't see any repair on this. Clearly there's oil there. And I'm not picking anything up. Might write up the leak search anyway. I mean, I see oil all around the base of this thing. All right, well, I got it opened up. I've gone over it. I don't see or hear a leak. So we'll wait. I'm gonna throw some gauges on it and see what our pressures look like. Might not leak until the head pressure gets good and high, but I'm not picking up anything here. And you know, what are you gonna do? I'm not here to do a leak search, but I am going to evaluate it and see if my pressures look low. I don't see, what's getting me is there's all this oil here, but I don't see any sign of a leak being repaired. Normally if it leaks here where the metal is, it's burned out and that metal's cut out, and then you'll see a patch on the copper. I don't see any of that. So this thing's leaking. It's got to leak somewhere. It just might be a very small leak, and you know, looking at the oil stain, it's hard to say which direction it sprays when it leaks, but I've been over it. I might have to pump this thing way up to find it. It's probably a very small leak. I'm gonna get my gauges on it, and I am gonna write up a leak search, so I'll gather the information on filter dryer size and all that, and we'll go from there. And that is first stage. That is first stage circuit, and I've got my gauges on second stage, and it didn't look horrible. So let me get this put back together and we'll go from there. All right, I've got that economizer bypassed. I've got everything buttoned up, got the power off. I just want to see how loose these connections are. Oh yeah, on these brand new contactors, replaced 7-Eleven a couple days ago. That one's good. That one's good. Look at that, almost too full. Now, even though there's no wires in these lugs, I still like to snug them up. That makes this whole connection tight. Tight now. Unbelievable. Look at this. Look at that. Like 2 full rotations on brand new contactors. Hello. Okay. Sorry about that, my wife. But anyway, yeah, all of these were loose, very loose. Some of them I even had, you know, multiple turns on it. So you want to make sure all your contactors are good and tight. If you're ever replacing contactors, the tighter the better, really. And let's just take a peek at these wires up here. Everything looks fairly decent. Like I said, I've got hooked up to stage 1 now. This is the one that was originally running, but I'm concerned with that oil spot on the condensing unit, so I want to see if it's low. I've got my temperature clamps hooked up. We're set to 410A. Let's see what this thing's doing. Oh, I mean, it's possible that, I don't know. I just can't see. I don't see any repair anywhere on this coil, and there's oil all over it. So I'm assuming there's a leak. Even though I didn't pick anything up with my leak detector, it might have to get up to 600 pounds of pressure before it shows a leak. Let this thing run for a few minutes. We're looking at our superheat because it's a fixed orifice unit. And right off the rip, we're already up to 25, 26. Our saturation temperature is climbing, but it's hot out. I would expect that. "26 degrees of superheat, 27 on our subcooling." We have a good saturation temp, but I'm going to let this run for a bit before I do anything. But I think I'm going to be writing this up that there is oil all over the condensing unit, and I'm assuming it is leaking. All right, guys, well, my vapor saturation's at 50, head pressure's at 415, suction pressure's at 143, and my superheat is at 5.6, bouncing around between 5 and 7. So, you know, doesn't appear to be low. I'm still gonna note on my service report and get a picture that this has oil on it. There's clearly been work done to this unit. I've noticed 2 couplings on the suction line back here. So it's clearly been worked on, and I'll leave it up to them whether or not they want to write up a leak search and recharge. They're definitely both getting condenser coil cleanings. Still up in the air on what to do. I think I'm just going to write up 2 new pulleys and adjust, because I don't feel like busting out pipe wrenches right now and breaking them loose. They're rusty. They've been that way for a while. They are running high amps, and that one was extremely hot. They're both getting economizer controls. Definitely dealing with the pulleys and condenser coil cleanings, and possibly a leak search on this one. So that's what I'm coming up with. Other than that, they're working. They're cooling a lot better now that that blower's not running backwards. So right there, that's a success. And we're putting out 58-degree supply air. And I had 76, 78 return. I can't remember at this point, but we're definitely making some condensation. So, all right, guys, that's gonna do it for this one. I appreciate you watching. If you liked the video, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon. That'll notify you anytime I got a new video coming out. Leave me a comment, hit like, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one.